In 1571, a tribe in Yucatan suffered an outbreak of smallpox. A shaman found a plant and, along with other people, drank it. The substance turned the people blue and made them incapable of breathing in air. They quickly moved to the ocean and created a civilization in the deep water, Talocan. One of the women who ingested the plant had a baby named Keokealkan. The baby grew up to become ruler of Talocan. When she died, she asked to be buried on her homeland. Keokealkan led some guards up to the land where he saw several Maya people being enslaved by the Spanish. Furious, he ordered the plantation to be burnt down. During his attack, a priest called the child El Niño Sin Amor, meaning the child without love. The boy claimed Namor as his moniker, for he had no love for the surface world. In 2024, Shuri works in her lab, trying hard to create an artificial heart-shaped herb to use for her brother and Wakanda's king, T'Challa, who is dying of an unidentified illness. Desperate, Shuri is ready to use a herb she has just synthesized, despite being warned by her AI system Griot that it has a less than 30% chance of working when Ramonda slowly walks into the lab, announcing that T'Challa has already passed away. He is given a funeral and buried by his advisors and loved ones. 1 year later, Wakanda is having trouble with other nations wanting their vibranium, as they believe it is too dangerous to be left to the Wakandans due to its strength, power, and since it cannot be picked up by any existing scans. The Dora Milaje catch French operatives trying to steal vibranium from an outreach outpost in Mali. Later, Ramonda talks to the United Nations and reveals that the operation was officially endorsed by their government. She reminds the UN that even though the Black Panther is gone, they will still fight. At a mining outpost, Americans mine in the ocean using a device that is actually able to detect vibranium. They find a huge haul in the ocean, when suddenly they come under attack by Talocannals who do not want them stealing their vibranium. The soldiers are all lured to their deaths in the water by a strange song, while the rest are brutally killed thanks to the Talocannals' command of ocean life, with last remaining helicopter of survivors is struck down by Namor. In Wakanda, Ramonda and Shuri go to the outskirts of the city to commemorate the year since T'Challa's passing. Ramonda burns her funeral garments to signify the end of the mourning period, however Shuri refuses to as she is not ready to move on. Ramonda is about to tell Shuri something important about T'Challa when Namor arrives. The two are shocked that he was able to get across the Wakandan border unseen and undetected and order him to leave. He reveals to them the existence of Talocan and wants their help to stop foreigners from taking vibranium. He also explains that Wakanda is not the only place that has vibranium, Talocan has it too. Ramonda tells him off, worried of his presence. He tells them he is going to kill the scientist who made the machine that can detect vibranium and requests their help, warning they should not get in his way. The tribal council is immediately convened to discuss the fact there is a nation they've never heard of able to enter Wakanda at will and the fact vibranium can now be detected. The council's members have different opinions of what to do. Zawavari believes the scientist should be found and handed over to Namor, while M'Baku believes that Namor should be hunted down and killed instead lest he start making more demands. Okoye is sent to find whomever built the vibranium detector and bring them back to Wakanda so they can decide what should be done with them. Okoye asks Ramonda if she can bring Shuri with her. Not only does Shuri want to go, but Okoye believes getting out of Wakanda for a while might do her some good. Ramonda reluctantly agrees. With no other leads, Shuri and Okoye go to meet Everett Ross to try and find out who built the vibranium detecting machine. Ross is initially wary, as by telling them such information he would be guilty of treason, and could even face a death sentence. However, cannot deny the debt he owes to T'Challa and Shuri for saving his life, so reveals the machine was built by an MIT student, Riri Williams. They then go to Cambridge, Massachusetts to find Williams, who tells them that the vibranium detector was a school project which was appropriated by the government. They follow her to her garage, where she reveals that she is working on an Iron Man-type armor. However, they are followed by the FBI. The three people get away, Okoye in a car, Shuri in a motorcycle, and Williams in her armor. Suddenly, they are met by Talakanals, Atama and Namora. A brief skirmish ends in Shuri and Williams getting captured. Ross arrives at the scene the next day and meets with his ex-wife, Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. He also finds Kimoyo beads and hides them. In Wakanda, Ramonda is furious with Okoye for losing Shuri and dismisses her as general and removes her from the Dora Milaje. M'Baku and Mkathu try to tell Ramonda not to be too harsh, but Ramonda goes into a fury, telling them she has already lost her husband and son and now might have lost her daughter, as well as reminding the council that they, apart from M'Baku and the Dora Milaje, abandoned her when Killmonger took over the kingdom. Okoye sticks her spear in the ground and leaves in disgrace. Ramonda does a search for Shuri's Kimoyo beads and finds out that Ross has them, and the two discuss the situation. Ramonda is unable to tell him much, and can only warn him a new power is at work. Ross pledges his support if Wakanda needs it. Shuri and Williams wake up in Talokan. Namor shows Shuri the civilization, trying to convince her of his ideals, even giving her his mother's bracelet. However, she disagrees with killing Williams. Meanwhile, Ramonda goes to Haiti to see Nakia, who had left Wakanda 6 years prior. She asks Nakia to find Shuri for her. Nakia does some spying and figures out the location. She then breaks Williams and Shuri out as Ramonda talks to Namor about his plan, killing 2 Talakanal guards in the process. They return to Wakanda, but only for more torment as Namor and his people invade the city in retaliation, causing an all-out war. Namor takes care of all of the Wakandan vehicles before flooding the throne room holding Ramonda and Williams. Williams starts drowning, so Ramonda saves her, only to drown in the process. Shuri mourns her mother's passing as Namor tells her she is queen now. He and his people then leave the country. Meanwhile, Allegra de Fontaine reveals to Ross that she intentionally left the Kimoyo beads for him to find so she could catch him in the act of giving away national secrets to the Wakandans and has him arrested. M'Baku talks to Shuri after the funeral and gives her moral judgment that she should not kill Namor. He then tells her he will provide housing for the displaced Wakandans following the attack. Shuri then uses Namor's mother's bracelet to create the artificial heart-shaped herb, which finally works. She goes to the astral plane after taking it and is greeted by Eric Killmonger. She is horrified and doesn't understand why her mind chose to converse with him of all people, but he knows they took the herb for the same reason. So they could take revenge against those who have taken from them. They argue a bit as Shuri promises that she will kill Namor for what he did. Shuri wakes up and makes herself a suit. She then drops into a meeting between M'Baku and the elders as the Black Panther. Reversing his earlier stance, M'Baku says they should not kill Namor as he is revered as a god by his people, and killing one who is so idolized can only lead Wakanda and its people into an endless bloody war. He also tells Shuri he doesn't want to see her commit murder, having promised T'Challa before his death that he would look out for her. Shuri disregards his counsel, determined to make Namor pay. In preparation of the battle, Shuri and Williams realize that they could weaken Namor by heating his body up to where it cannot get oxygen. They then make a second Ironheart armor. Shuri gives Okoye new armor, acting much like Iron Man's as well, called the Midnight Angels. Okoye recruits Annika to be a part of her two-woman team. In the ocean, they use a vessel to lure the Talacanals into a trap. The battle commences as Namor seems to gain the upper hand. However, Black Panther traps him in a Royal Talon fighter as they take off away from the battle. Meanwhile, the Dora Milaje fight the Talacanals on the side of the vessel while the Jabari tribe, Nakia, and the others battle the ones on top. Ironheart and the Midnight Angels take care of the airborne Talacanals. Black Panther heats up the Royal Talon fighter, weakening Namor, but he begins to break out with his spear. Black Panther shoots a blast from her vibranium gauntlets which explodes the whole ship, sending the two adversaries into the island below. The two fight some more with Shuri gaining the upper hand as the fight progresses, but Namor eventually impales Shuri. Instead of finishing her off, he is more worried about getting to the water before he dies. An injured Black Panther breaks free and gets in front of the limping Namor. She then yells, "Wakanda forever," as she armors up, sending a blast from the exploding Talon fighter into Namor. He is set ablaze and collapses. She kicks him over so his back is on the ground. She then stands over him to finish him off, but remembers her brother, T'Challa. With these memories of the man that he was, she decides to spare Namor's life as long as he returns to Talokan. Namor has gratitude for the Black Panther and joins her as they return to the fight scene and tell everyone to stop fighting. Black Panther then yells, "Wakanda forever," once again as the rest repeat it back. In the aftermath, Williams returns to MIT without her armor as the Wakandans do not want any controversy with letting her keep it. Shuri leaves for Haiti instead of challenging for the throne, which ultimately is challenged by M'Baku. Later, Namor paints in his room as Namora accuses him of cowardice for surrendering to the Black Panther. However, he assures her that their new alliance with Wakanda will be beneficial in the long term. As Ross is transported to face his punishment, Okoye breaks him out of custody, allowing herself some amusement at seeing a colonizer in chains. In Haiti, Shuri meets with Nakia before leaving for the beach where she mourns T'Challa one last time, burning her funeral robes like her mother requested she do, showing she is ready to move on and face the future without her family. Nakia then approaches her with a child. She explains that it is her and T'Challa's son, whom Ramonda had met before passing. The boy introduces himself as Tucson, before telling